Chapter 19. Believe that ye have received, and ye shall have. We have been receiving so many letters reciting conditions of real hardship, both of a financial and a mental nature, that we yearn to have everyone who needs find and use the always waiting help that is available to every soul willing to do his or her best to earn it. In this article, we intend to show clearly how all such may find that help and how they may apply it to their individual problems, no matter what their nature. In the article entitled The Great Secret in Chapter 13, we pointed the way to free yourself from all lack, limitation, inharmony, disease, and trouble of every kind. Some have learned the secret, have put it to practice, and consequently have found a peace and a happiness that is beyond human telling. For now they know with assuredness that nothing can alter that all that the Father hath is theirs. Others, the great majority, and always those who need it the most, have never really tried to apply the secret, chiefly because their minds are so filled with fears, anxieties, and worries, that hope or faith to back their efforts cannot get in and stay long enough to inspire them seriously to try. All such warriors, as well as the many others who are seeking the way out of their various troubles, we now with deepest earnestness entreat to read carefully what follows, and to strive with the utmost power of their souls to prove its truth. Dear friends, if we should offer you wealth, health, happiness, and you knew you could have all of these for a stated price, would you not, if you had the price, give all that was asked and more to gain these priceless blessings? Can anyone doubt that you would? Well, we are doing that very thing. We are offering you all three of these blessings, and you have the price asked, and can pay it if you will. But you must pay it by doing something no one else can do but you. Something requiring the intelligent and persistent use of your mind and your will. It simply means that you must begin to prove the truths of the great secret, must henceforth let come into your minds no thoughts or feelings that you do not want to out-manifest in your body and affairs. We recommend that you go back to the great secret and study it carefully until you get all of the intended meaning, or you will not be able to grasp the full import of what follows. All who persist in doing this, and who will not be satisfied until their higher self has shown them all of the marvelous truth that awaits them in what follows, will know that they have gained something that is worth more to them than anything else in the world. Read again these words and try to realize that they are meant for you, that what they say is exactly true, and that it is all possible for you, and therefore that this we offer you is the biggest thing that could come into your life, and that it is yours for the doing of what is suggested. And there is not one who reads who cannot do it, if he will, and wants it badly enough. We are trying to rouse you, dear friend, to make you see that you can have all of these things. We are trying to inspire in you the determination that you will have them, that you will do all that we suggest, if we convince you that by doing it you can have these blessings. If we have quickened in you such a determination, then you are ready for what follows. The first thing, then, must be for you from this time on carefully to watch and study your thinking and feelings, and to let into your mind nothing whatsoever of a negative nature, and which you know has no part in your God self. All such thoughts and feelings come from without, from other minds. Of course, in your subconsciousness there are qualities that attract them, or they would not come, but you need not let them in to feed those negative and selfish qualities. If such are not fed, they will soon die of inanition, for they have life only as long as you give it to them by recognition. And when you no longer admit the thoughts and ideas they attract, they will be supplanted by the opposite qualities that your new thinking will create. When by persistent effort you have acquired the habit of shutting out all negative thoughts and feelings, you will more and more become conscious of inspiration from a high source, making you aware of definite guidance and instruction. In other words, your mind now being cleansed of selfish and untrue thoughts, which have no part in your real nature, your higher mind will begin to pour in the consciousness of your divine self. Such watching and studying of your mind and its thought processes is one of the most important practices in which you can engage, for you soon will begin to realize your power to control and direct your thinking, and that thereby you are learning to be master of your fate. With this realization will come a new consciousness, in which you will gradually be able to abide, and from which you will more and more think, speak, and work. How will that consciousness begin to manifest itself? By what some call hunches. You will have leadings, strong urges from within, that will claim your attention, and which, if heeded, will always bring satisfying and happy results, but which, if unheeded, will end in sorry mistakes and often trouble. Everyone receives such hunches. In other words, everyone has guidance, but very few heed and profit by it. There is not one who reads these words that cannot recall many instances of definite leadings which brought real inward satisfaction because of obeying what he was impelled to do. And many have noted that they receive guidance even in little things, in matters seemingly unimportant at the time, but which nevertheless serve to impress the mind with the fact that something within knows what is best, aye, sees ahead, and knows the good which awaits, and is eager to lead them to that good. For instance, how many of you have been strongly desirous of seeing a friend for some particular purpose, but at the time you are unable to go to him or her or reach them by phone, when that friend suddenly either called you by phone, or came to see you, or something may have directed you to the window, and looking out you saw the friend coming up the street or taking a car to his home, or in other words, some definite answer came to your silent call which set your mind at rest. Many are the instances of hunches obeyed which have saved lives, prevented accidents, brought friends together, won desired ends, proving that some benevolent force was working to bring these about. There is an excellent booklet, Hunches and How to Follow Them, by the Eldridges, that will prove a great inspiration and a real help in teaching how to watch for and know hunches when they come. See Appendix. Now by such hunches or leadings, we intend to prove to you that every human soul always has present within itself that which will unerringly guide it in every detail of its life towards its greatest good. Let us reason together. You will remember in the 15th chapter how it was shown that your higher self is a Son of God, who has brought your soul to its present state of unfoldment through many lives in many bodies, such as the one you now possess, but that the higher self, the real you, chooses the time and the conditions into which again to incarnate, to bring about a further development of the soul, and to perfect an instrument in which you can do the work you planned to do of living your divine life here on earth in a human personality, the same as you are now living it in heaven. Read again carefully the first article in the 15th chapter. It was also shown how you, in your higher self, thus knew the end before the beginning, for all events in your life were planned and arranged by you toward that end, and we made it plain that the only wise thing for the human mind and personality to do is to accept this great truth and henceforth to seek to cooperate with you, to listen to and heed every leading which you gave and which you are always giving it from within, as it has learned by the frequent hunches received when it learned to listen. Then what is the answer? First, to keep your mind clean of all untrue and negative thoughts, and secondly, to require it to listen to the voice that comes from within. For just as surely as you prevent untrue and negative thoughts, those that the real you does not want there, entering your mind, just as surely will your higher self put into your mind the true and positive thoughts that will attract to you the good which is waiting to deliver itself to you. But this good cannot come to you until you want it more than anything else in life, which means when you are eager to do everything necessary to let it come, and will keep your mind clean and free of all thoughts that are not God's intended thoughts for you. For your higher self is God in you, and he can work and express himself only through a mind channel made clean and perfect for his use. This, of course, means all thoughts of a negative nature about being poor, or sick, or weak, or discouraged, or lacking in anything, for such are untrue of God, and likewise of a Son of God, who knows that all that the Father has is his. We know how appearances hinder and flaunt themselves before you, making it so hard for you to believe or do what we have stated. But obstacles are given you to overcome in order to enable you to develop and use your spiritual power. You must always remember that Spirit alone is, and that you and all things exist only in Spirit. That is, in the one consciousness, nowhere else. Also, that what you think and believe, and thus hold in consciousness, exists to you, and such always out-manifests in your life and affairs. Therefore you must see and believe only the true and eternal things, the things of the kingdom, which your true self is waiting to shower upon you when you are ready to accept them. By thus seeing and knowing and holding only to the truth will surely make you free. Also, by abiding in the consciousness of your real self, the God you, and letting His words only abide in and rule you, you need ask for nothing, for then all good things will pour in freely upon you. A mind that refuses to be misled by appearances and persistently holds in consciousness only the good, the true, the beautiful and perfect things that exist in the kingdom, will, as surely as tomorrow comes, see these things out manifest in its owner's life. Do you want them to manifest in your life? Of course you do. Can you do the simple things required of you to attain them? Of course you can. For your higher self is a son of God, has all power, and is yearning to help you attain them. For then He will have in you a perfect instrument through which He can do that for which He has long been preparing you. You can see how this applies definitely and perfectly to the financial problem. If, as a son of God, all that the Father has is yours, then you must abide in that knowing, and let no appearances of whatsoever kind affect that knowing. Conditions of lack are permitted principally to bring you to that knowing, for not until you learn to know and to hold to the truth of the rich abundance of all things that are yours as a son of God, will you ever be free from the consciousness of lack. Likewise is sickness permitted, in order to bring you to the knowing that a son of God, an immortal soul, dweller in many bodies, is a spiritual being whose life and intelligence rules the flesh and knows not inharmony and disease. When you truly realize that, and think and hold in consciousness only the thoughts of eternal being, perfect health becomes your natural and permanent expression. Likewise, with such realization, true happiness floods your consciousness, for then you will gladly let the life and intelligence of your real self rule, and will try no more to do or be anything yourself. For why try to do or be what a son of God always will do perfectly and always is, in all the glory of His divine perfection? Can you not now see what this means for you, and that it only awaits your acceptance of this great truth, of your letting go, yielding yourself wholly to Him, keeping your mind and heart clean of all things unworthy of Him? so that he will have them always ready for his use? Ah, dear friend, if we can only impress the great significance of all this upon you, so that you will determine with all the might of your soul henceforth to permit no thought or feeling in your mind that is not all good, and which you do not want to out-manifest, then these words are not written in vain. If you would really do this, and it is the only way to financial, physical, and spiritual freedom, then when any untrue or negative thought approaches, say, "Begone! You have no part in me. I am spirit. I harbour only the good and perfect thoughts of my Father in heaven." And with a prayer to your loving Father that his vision and strength aid you, begin this moment to make your mind a pure and holy habitation for his thoughts only, and your heart an abode which he can fill with his love, and through which love he can inspire and direct every activity of your life. Jesus ever present. Every thinking mind must wonder how Jesus, our dear Lord and Master, is always available and always ready and able to hear and to help every earnest soul who calls to him in sincere love and trust. Surely there must be many from all parts of the world, and perhaps also in the inner planes, who call to him at the same time. So how can he hear all and answer all? First, we must try to realize that his mind, because of his conscious sonship, is omniscient, that is all-seeing, and that to him space and time do not exist. We have some evidence of this in the highest type of clairvoyance and in intuition. Of the omniscient powers of intuition, most of you have had convincing proof. Surely then it is true that in him both of these faculties must be developed to their ultimate degree, in the light of what is stated in the preceding articles about him. Now recall that he is the manifested love of God, is the representation of love sent to humanity by the Father, to serve as the intermediary between humanity and the Father. In fact, he, as love, is the only way unto the Father. We mean this to imply that as Christ Jesus, he is both the presence within us of that love, and is the way-shower and teacher without, who is leading us unto the Father. Therefore he is both the way and the door through which we must pass to enter the Father's consciousness. Think on this great truth until you glimpse at least some of its deep meaning. Now, because of his being such an intermediary and the way, he must be closely in touch with and working in all the inner planes of consciousness between humanity's outermost and the Father's own consciousness deep within. He has been seen on the earth plane in the inner realms many times, from the reports of those who saw him on the battlefields in the recent war. And many others daily report seeing him in visions on various other planes up to the highest that outpicture themselves to human comprehension. And even in the highest plane, he is seen descending through a brilliant sunburst of light surrounded by angels. But in all planes he comes to help, to heal, to instruct, to bless. Wherever there are those who need or who are engaged in loving service, there does he appear and give definite proof of the Father's love for his children. But how does he know when there is a need, you ask? Do you know anything about vibration? Most of you do. Those who understand about tuning in on a radio to a certain wavelength to get what is on the air and is being broadcasted by a certain station. Do you know that each human brain is a perfect receiving and a perfect sending station, and is exactly the same as a radio built for both purposes? Only the human brain existed first, and there were certain human intelligences who studied the mechanism of the mind's working to such effect that they were able to produce mechanical instruments by which they could create vibrations that would go forth on the air, both as sounds and pictures, and would be received by reciprocal instruments built to record them, even as the human mind is constantly sending and receiving them. You are continually sending forth from your mind station both thought and picture vibrations which are being received perhaps by many other mind stations attuned to receive them. And it is from other mind-sending stations that you are continually getting the many thought pictures and suggestions which enter your mind station, if you do not have it shut off. The trouble is, very few turn off their mental switches, but let anything of whatever nature that happens to be on the air come in, and they may be hearing jazz music, jazz talks, and seeing jazz pictures all day long, just as some let their radios run all day long, and most of the night also. Now, selfless love is the highest vibration known to man, and is the vibration above all vibrations to which Christ Jesus is attuned. Therefore, when anyone in pure and selfless love directs their thoughts to him, he receives them as your radio receives what comes from the station to which it is tuned in. And to his mind, being of the highest type, there comes also a vision of the sender accompanying his or her thought vibrations. Even as television machines bring pictures of those speaking or singing amid the scenes that surround them. You all know that this is done instantaneously, but Jesus' mind, because of its being such a high type, is in no way limited, as are mechanical instruments, and he can receive and appreciate messages coming in at the same time from many senders, and can answer them all by instantaneous loving thoughts and blessings sent in return. And if you will think how television operates, you can glimpse how in the psychic visions the Master seems to appear before the various seers and to speak or bless them, or whatever it is that he intends to convey. The fact in most cases probably is that he just sends his loving messages mentally, and the human mind, being naturally far less perfect than his mind, receives and outpictures it according to the nature of its religious and mental training, believing him to be personally present, even as some might believe a television picture was an actual experience enacted in their presence. Those who have studied the processes of the human mind know that its nature is such as automatically to build mental pictures of every thought vibration that enters the consciousness. A thought thus becomes a picture, and on all the outer and inner planes of human consciousness, what one really sees are the mind's picturized interpretations of thoughts or vibrations coming from the minds of others. These pictures or thought creations fill the astral and mental realms of mortal consciousness, and as they all have to be redeemed and lifted up into the Christ consciousness, you can see what a work we have to do. But with the Master's help, we who know are about our Father's business, which is carrying the light of love, of the Christ knowing, down into the darkness of men's minds, lighting them as fast and as much as is possible at the present time. The above does not mean that Jesus does not actually visit and heal and bless by his personal presence in the lower planes of the inner realms. When it is necessary, he always comes. But as you may realize, it is only in extreme cases that he does not accomplish what he wills mentally through the wonderful power of his divine wisdom and love, or through his disciples and the many workers under them, through whom he principally works. Study the radio in connection with your own thought processes in the light of the above, and many illuminating explanations of mental phenomena will come to you, and you may be able consciously to send and receive messages and to see their senders and those who receive them. Speaking the Word. In the 16th chapter, we gave you suggestions to try out in group work, and urged that you learn the words on the card Speaking the Word, and practice using them so that you can speak them freely and with full conviction of their spiritual power. Some have reported using them with most beneficial results, and we wish now to impress upon you the importance of studying and perfectly acquainting yourselves with all that was stated about their use in the first article of the 16th chapter. In fact, all should study carefully the whole article, for these instructions, when learned and proven, are the basis of all future work, and will establish you in the consciousness necessary for real work in the cause of brotherhood. The truly in earnest ones will find, when speaking these words in this consciousness, because of their being pure truth, they have a magical power and do bring about a definite change in the consciousness of those for whom they are spoken. A healing results, or a happy change in conditions, or a freeing from mental bondage. Whatever was the relief sought, convincing you that you are being used to help and bless others. The question will arise, for just whom should one speak the word? For anyone that asks, or for anyone who needs and who has not asked for help? In the first place, try always to be guided by the strong, loving urge in your heart, and always speak them with your heart filled with a loving desire to help. And then, whenever called upon to help, turn within for guidance, and obey whatever you are led to do. If you always follow these suggestions, you will never make any mistake. Because the words given are the truth about every human soul, for they are about the higher self of every soul, when spoken in the full consciousness of that truth, only good and a blessing can result. But your mind must be cleansed of all doubt and hesitation, and only a confident knowing must accompany the words as they go forth on their mission. When you have accustomed yourself thus to see and know truth, and to speak powerfully from that knowing, then you are ready for definite work. Let each group, when sufficiently established in this knowing, choose for itself how it can best serve in its community. Let them at a meeting selected ahead for this purpose, after meditation and prayer, decide on some regular active service, each one dedicating him or herself to the Master, Christ Jesus, asking to be used to further in every way possible the work the Father is doing through the Brotherhood. Ask that you may become a conscious and integral part of the Brotherhood, so that you may work as one with them. Along with the service you have chosen to do, whether it be a simple healing service held at a stated hour each day, or if it be a more comprehensive work that may be given to you from the Spirit, we now suggest the following. Each noon at 12 o'clock, whether a member of a group or not, train yourself to let nothing interfere with your dropping whatever you are doing, preferably going into a room where you may be alone, the same room each day, if possible, and to speak the word according to the card, preceded by the following, adding whatever you may be led to say. Beloved Father, I come again this day to offer myself as a channel through which thou canst pour the light of thy love and truth into the world of men's consciousness. Through thy power vested in me, I now speak these words of truth and direct the light of thy love especially to, naming those you would help, also to all the dear ones who are similarly consciously serving thee, to all who are seeking the light, but whose human selves are still wandering in darkness, to the President of our country, and to all representatives of thy people who are holding higher places and who have pledged to do their duty worthily in thy sight, and finally to all souls, dear Father, whom thou wish quickened, awakened by these words, and by them recalled to that which they came into the world to do. Beloved of God, in your true being, etc., then proceed with the words on the card. See Appendix. The faithful, regular, and zealous following of these instructions will accustom your mind and all its faculties to actual service, and will train you into being a capable instrument for the Master's use. More than all, it will be instilling into your mind the consciousness of actually being used by the Brotherhood, for definite evidence of such use will soon be noted from the blessed results that will follow. True workers, that is, conscious workers, those fully conscious of the power and authority vested in them as actual members of the Brotherhood of the Spirit, are only too few, and the need is so great that when any are found who give themselves sincerely and selflessly to the Master anxious to serve, let no one doubt that they will be quickly put to work. Opportunities will soon be brought to them, and they will be shown clearly how they can serve. However, it is earnestly hoped by this time that everyone anxious to serve will have so disciplined the mind that it has become an obedient servant of the will. An excellent aid to such discipline is in your daily meditation, to arrange with the other members of your group to meditate each day at the same hour and to meet in spirit at the same place, the one where you hold your weekly meetings. Try to see each one sitting in his or her regular chair and to know if they are actually there, and check up afterwards to prove if you were correct in determining if they were or were not present meditating with you. For those who feel and see themselves in their places at such times are actually there in their soul bodies, and will be seen or sensed by the others who are sensitive enough. This is a most valuable practice, for it may develop clairvoyant and other powers that will prove most useful in many ways, as you will soon learn. Thus you will find yourself coming into that which your higher self intended from the beginning, the power to serve and to be a selfless instrument for his use. May it speedily manifest for each one who reads these words, is our earnest prayer.